For the second time in less than a week, Donald Trump is begging for the love and adulation of murdered Renee Good's parents, who he learned somehow were Trump supporters. And after having his ICE agents, his goon squad, murder her by shooting her in the head 3 times, all he can think about is that they hopefully still love him, as his handlers, knowing that Donald Trump's mental decline is on full display, especially at press conferences where he throws away the written prepared notes pretty early on and then just starts vomiting out whatever comes to his mind. He has no mind-mouth barrier, as they sent little Donnie Trump in short pants to the podium with a giant binder that said accomplishments, like some sort of participation certificate that a 3-year-old gets, except he's the president of the United States. See, he might have thought that he was taking to the podium to lecture the American people and the global community about why he has the right militarily to take over a NATO allies protectorate in Greenland, why he's putting up AI-generated cartoons of his party, his group going to Davos, Switzerland, putting up a giant flag of the United States in Greenland. But all he did was demonstrate that he should be taken out of office under the 25th Amendment by his cabinet. How dare he even say the name of Renee Good out loud? Somebody that he said during a CBS propaganda interview with Tony DeCopel just a couple of days ago, I think she was a very good person. And then admitted there were ICE mistakes, and then are begging for his parents to love him. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the MeidasTouch Network. Let's get to the new reporting from the press conference. I could do 1,000 hot takes about the press conference, but I wanted to focus on this one. As Donald Trump's ICE goons continue to patrol the streets of Minneapolis, perhaps soon joined by U.S. military boots on the ground with a phony invocation of the Insurrection Act, as the Trump administration goes after the Democrats, the public appointed, the public elected officials, from the governor to the Minneapolis mayor, Mayor Frey, to the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, and have gone after them with criminal investigations to try to stop them. It just redoubles their efforts to oppose the lawless Trump administration. Is this the Civil War? We have the federal government being sent in by a president not named Abraham Lincoln to go after blue states in order to chill dissent, in order to crush opposition. And then he's trying to do it wrapped in the flag and with crocodile tears about the death of Renee Good. Let's put our cards on the table now, shall we? Renee Good, which Donald Trump said was a very good person, a very fine person, in his softball-laden interview with the propagandist over at CBS News. In fact, here's a clip of him with Tony DeCopel talking about Renee Good in the last 5 days, and about, let's play that clip first.
I've got an important question about the situation in Minnesota, the death of Renee Nicole Good. I've been speaking to her father, who is a big supporter of yours, like many Americans are, but he's heartbroken right now. He's heartbroken because his daughter is dead, that's obvious. He's also heartbroken because your administration so quickly has come out and said she's a domestic terrorist. What do you want to say to her father right now?
Well, I want to say to the father that I love all of our people. They can be on the other side. As you say, he might be on my side.
He's on your side.
And I think that's great. And I do. I think it's great. And I would bet you that she, under normal circumstances, was a very solid, wonderful person. But, you know, her actions were pretty tough. I mean, I've seen it many ways and many different shapes and forms. But the bottom line is, look, we have hundreds of thousands of murderers in our countries, killers. ICE is trying to get them out. They were let in through an open border policy of sleepy Joe Biden. ICE is working very hard to get them out. Their job is being made very, very difficult. And, you know, when you look at that tape, it can be viewed 2 ways, I guess. But when you look at the way that car was pulled away, there are a couple of versions of that tape that are very, very bad.
He is concerned because he found out that her parents were Trump supporters and hopes that they still love him. And you think that his handlers would have gotten to him, the ones that put the giant binder in his hands about the accomplishments that he couldn't stop bragging about, and make him not say those types of things out loud at the press conference today, you'd be wrong. First, let's roll the clip of him with his accomplishment binder. Oh, that's adorable. It's like a mead trapper. It's like a mead trapper for school that I used to have. Let's play the clip.
Here's the book on accomplishments. And this is something, I'm glad my finger wasn't in that sucker. That could have done some damage, but you know what? I wouldn't have shown the pain. I would have gone back. What, did you hear that? That was nasty. But I would not have shown the pain. I would have acted like nothing happened as my finger fell off. That was nasty. I think somebody did that. I think it was him. It was my man. How were you? You didn't do it. I know you did.
And then it came time to talk about ICE's tactics. Now, his press secretary, his propagandist in chief, Carolyn Levitt, she already went to battle on his behalf and said ICE never makes mistakes. And if you question whether ICE made mistakes, like the 40 people who've died in custody, the couple of people who have been blinded by rubber bullets and other non-lethal projectiles being fired lethally above the neck, and if you question the death of Renee Good, then you are an activist, leftist, commie, a journalist with an agenda who doesn't belong in the White House briefing room. Who can forget her failure to answer this important question? Play the clip.
Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist. And it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias.
That's not what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump said back to back, ICE makes mistakes. It's a tragedy. The death of Renee Good is a tragedy, but he always makes it about him. He always makes it about his narcissism, his desire to be loved, even to the point where the grieving parents of Renee Good should show him love. Play the clip.
They're rough people. Are they going to make a mistake? Sometimes it can happen. We feel terribly. I felt horribly when I was told that the young woman who was had the tragedy. It's a tragedy. It's a horrible thing. Everybody would say it. ICE would say the same thing. But when I learned her parents and her father in particular I hope he still is, but I don't know, was a tremendous Trump fan. He was all for Trump, loved Trump. And it's terrible. I was told that by a lot of people. They said, "Oh, he loves you." He was I hope he still feels that way. I don't know. It's a hard situation. But her father was a tremendous, and parents were tremendous Trump fans. It's so sad. It just happens. It's terrible. Halted all refugee admissions to the United States, including from Somalia, which is a terrible, terrible place, another dangerous place.
Never mentions, as you would note, never mentions anywhere in the press conference that his Department of Justice and FBI, rather than investigating the person that pulled the trigger not once, not twice, but 3 times into the head and face of Renee Good, ICE agent Jonathan Ross, he's not being investigated, never mentioned that the only people that are being investigated are the Democrats, the victim of the murder, the murdered Renee Good, and her grieving widow, Becca Good. That's where we're putting our energy. That's where we're putting in our investigations. We've already, doesn't mention that his main Department of Justice leadership have already declared that Jonathan Ross did nothing wrong and there will be no criminal investigation. Who can ever forget Todd Blanche saying exactly that before they've even started the investigation. Play the clip.
Well, the governor's response referenced a number of things, going after Mark Kelly, he says, Alyssa Slotkin, Jerome Powell. But he also mentioned what Matt Finn mentioned in his reporting there. He says the only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. So is the FBI conducting an investigation into that agent, into the shooting? What can you tell us about that? Will it be made public?
Look, what happened on that day has been reviewed by millions and millions of Americans because it was recorded on phones when it happened. Okay. The Department of Justice, our civil rights unit, we don't just go out and investigate every time an officer is forced to defend himself against somebody or putting his life in danger. We never do. That has nothing to do with what happened in Minneapolis. There are over 1,000 shootings every year where law enforcement are put in danger by individuals, and they have to protect themselves, and they have a lawful right to do so. The Department of Justice doesn't just stand up and investigate because some congressman thinks we should, because some governor thinks that we should. We investigate when it's appropriate to investigate, and that is not the case here. It wasn't the case when it happened, and it's not the case today.
Doesn't mention that. Doesn't mention the new criminal subpoenas that have gone out to Governor Walz, to Mayor Frey, to even Attorney General Keith Ellison. Now, I had Keith Ellison on recently, and he talked about how they are prepared to oppose the Trump administration in courts about the Insurrection Act or really anything else. And if he's going to bring federal charges against Jonathan Ross because nobody else will. Let's play the clip. We wake up this morning, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Dr. King's Day, to learn that the administration has revved up another 1,500 or more U.S. military troops to flood into the streets of Minneapolis and in your state to join the other, 2,000 that are already there. You already said
probably more.
Your law enforcement had no problem with 600 people on the force handling issues.
They're doing their job.
Doing their job. And now they're going to be joined with 5 times that. Is he able to do it without the Insurrection Act? And if he tries to use the Insurrection Act, what is Minnesota's response going to be? Including, I've read that Governor Walz, of course, has given out orders about your own National Guard. Are we going to have National Guard versus federal troops on the streets of Minneapolis?
I sure hope not. I mean, here's you asked me what are we going to do? No, he cannot deploy active duty military on the streets of Minneapolis without invocation of this Insurrection Act, which will trigger a court proceeding where we will show that they're completely and absolutely unnecessary, unjustified, and have to go. That is what we will do. That's my promise to the people of Minnesota and America. And so that is the answer to that question. Now, our argument all along is that our local authorities, including the National Guard, who are Minnesotans, who are the same people who stack sandbags to protect us from floods, who are the same people who's your nephew, your neighbor, they're trying to respond because local police are running massive overtime to try to manage the trouble that ICE is causing, right? So ICE is causing all kinds of problems, and they're attracting a lot of protesters. Protesters are within their rights, but that still means that you need police on hand. And because of the dramatic overextension that ICE is causing, the governor has said, okay, well, can you guys from the Guard can help out a little bit. Now, if the president does this with active duty troops, it will be illegal, it'll be unconstitutional, and it will be met with a court challenge.
I mean, I have to watch Donald Trump for a living. I'd rather not have to do the commentary and the reporting, but it's so important that we keep our eyesight trained on Donald Trump, that we bring our own heavy artillery to this debate in the public square, the marketplace of ideas, the hearts and minds of people. Are there people still on the fence about who to vote for at midterms? How could you possibly be on the fence? That's criminal. Take a side, man. Pick up a sword, so to speak. You're either with Donald Trump or you are against him. And there's no gray. There's no middle ground. And you know where we are here on the MeidasTouch Network and on Legal AF. I'm glad you're here. If you like what I do, can't get enough of me. My wife's already like, they can get enough of you. Then come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel, where I curate 12 videos per day at the intersection of law and politics. Brand new podcast of mine that just launched called The Intersection. It's a solo venture. I bring on great guests. This week alone, Skye Perryman, Democracy Forward, Lisa Phillips, Epstein survivor and leader of the cause to bring justice for the Epstein survivors. Join me on The Intersection. And of course, Legal AF, the podcast that I co-anchor on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I'm glad you're here. Hit the subscribe button here and on Legal AF YouTube. So until my next report, this is Michael. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.